The thing that I teased earlier was we got to say we're sorry because we misled the people on one of the YouTube clips, Brian. You know about this now. We misled the people. The title of one of our YouTube clips was Jim Cornette on why he's trending on Twitter. But by the time that we recorded it and put it out, I was trending on Twitter for a completely different reason. And so some people miss. So we're going to do part 2 of why I won't stop trending on Twitter. That's going to be a little bit later on in the program also. But God, this is your show, but I'll have you know, Brian.
I don't know what's happening. Okay.
I'll have you know that you're lucky to have me here today. I actually had to transport myself to add to the indignity to a local medical facility yesterday. You don't know about this. You've been off whooping around making merry. I went under the knife yesterday. This is a shoot. I was over here at the goddamn urgent care. But did you care? No, not a bit.
I didn't know people go under the knife at urgent care.
Well, goddamn, sometimes it's urgent.
And then they send you to the hospital. It's urgent care. They don't.
Well, no, they didn't fuck around. They just did everything needed to be done over there. No, I'll tell you what, it could have been the big one. This could have been a life-threatening situation. You know, I had to top Darby Allin. He gets hit by a bus, so I've got to, undergo severe stress. But
do you think
what happened? Well, go ahead. What are you going to say?
Is urgent care closer to Vince's vision of medical facility than a hospital is?
It seems like it is to me, because that's the only place I ever fucking go. Because there's like 3 urgent care places within 2 miles of my house, and this was a weekday at 3:00 in the afternoon. There's never anybody there, and there wasn't. And it's easier than getting in to see a regular doctor sometimes when you've got, you need to get the antibiotic or the probiotic or the symbiotic relationship going with some kind of goddamn thing. Just boom, go in. It's urgent. Go right on in there. So here's what I was working. I was back and forth. I was in the garage. I was in the office. It was a day that I didn't have to speak to you. Glory, hallelujah. And didn't have to record anything, trying to get some work done around the house. And I go to scratch my side, Brian, and right in my side, on the right side, about halfway down between the armpit and the top of your hip, just in that part where you really have to crane and turn around and be almost Lanny Poffo-like to be able to see it, right?
Oh.
As I go to scratch that fucking area there, and I feel something. What the fuck is that? And I look down and I say, it's a goddamn tick. I have a tick embedded in me, head first, like it goddamn did a high dive into fucking concrete. Boom, its little body is flapping out like a goddamn fucking yard flag. But it's stuck, and I'm like, well, motherfucker. This little bastard's not getting this. I will not put up with this bloodsucker. I've cut all the rest of the bloodsuckers out of my life. I'm not going to deal with this bloodsucker.
Holy shit, why didn't we figure out that should be the next thing that Jericho trademarks? The tick. The wrestling tick.
The tick. He looked tighter than a tick the other night on Dynamite, but we'll back to this for a second. So I get to goddamn Tweezer, but I have to go get Stace because it's that place where not only are you right-handed, so you're trying to reach up against goddamn the grain. It's like you're trying to put a fucking Kimura on yourself, but it's hard to see, especially when I've got just the beginnings of a little mud flap there on the side there from where I'm now more svelte than I used to be. It's very hard to see. I'll get Stace to pull this son of a bitch off. So I get her, give her the tweezers, and Mama Cornette, because we live out in the country. Obviously I'm familiar with ticks and had experience with ticks. And I've been out in the yard with Harley lately, so it's not a surprise. But usually this would work, the Mama Cornette technique. How did your mother remove ticks from you?
For all I know, I've never had a tick. There was one time I thought I had a tick.
Oh, come on.
I ripped the bug out of my head, but I'm not sure if it was a tick or not.
All right, city boy.
Well, no, I went to summer camp at the Henry Kaufman campgrounds. There are lots of trees and
There's trees over at the Henry Kaufman campground.
Suicide Hill. There's the Hermit's house.
Oh, for fuck's sake. I'll have you know that my summer camp was Camp Mountain Lake down there way past Chattanooga, up near Mont Eagle, Tennessee, and we had outdoor fucking porta potties, and we're glad to have them.
Did you really go to summer camp?
Yes, I was like 9.
In Tennessee?
Yes, way over Mont Eagle Mountain, up on, and then we'd go to Fall Creek Falls State Park for a fucking field trip, sleep in a sleeping blanket on the goddamn cold hard ground. I got enough of all that camping shit by the time I was about 11.
And what'd you say was Camp Crystal Lake?
No, I didn't say. Oh, fuck you. Anyway, back to the goddamn tick. Which you just
Chris Jericho? I thought we were going to do the review later.
No, not talking about the tick I had. Not the bloodsucker that AEW has attached to its side. But anyway, Stacy gets the tweezers. And Mama Cornette used to say, put them over an open flame and heat the end of it up as hot as you can get it. And then when you don't try to smash the tick or jerk it, but when you squeeze the tick with the tweezers, it will suddenly be hot and it'll go, ah, and it might let go some. And then you can kind of get it out. Well, when she clamped the tweezers that were red hot down on the thing, she said, oh, it moved, but it didn't let go. The legs kind of started going and everything, but it didn't let go. And she starts pulling and tugging. And first in a slow fashion, then in a harder fashion. This fucking thing, she's got my skin stretched out about 3 or 4 fucking inches, holding on to the goddamn body of the tick with the tweezers, and it ain't letting go. And then she breaks part of it off. So now I've still got part of the tick on it. So she let me get more fine-pointed tweezers or whatever. And now she's working on it. And she's getting some of the skin in there also. But at the same time, you know, now she's trying to bend over. Her back is bad so she can see this area, but her hands are shaking because she's taking sharp implements to tiny areas here. I said, God, let me see that thing. And I start pulling it. Well, and I've pulled some more of it off, but there's still some in there. And then I said, give me a fucking needle.
When you say some, there's still some of the tick in
Some of the tick in there. Yeah, because the tick is, the tweezers have broken a few pieces of the twick.
And there's a twick too.
The twick is to get the tick out, is to trick it. But
when you have more than one, you have twicks.
God damn you. Well, this was in betwixt and between. Because it wasn't even one tick. Now it was about half a fucking twick. It was a twicky little tick. So there's still pieces of the goddamn tick. And I said, give me a needle. Because the head's the thing that's in there. That's what spreads the disease and everything. And the needle will go in my skin there. It's because I'm going to try to just kind of gouge the whole area out there a little bit to where I get all that shit and we'll just hit it with peroxide and I can go back to work. But I can get the needle in because it's sharp on the end, but the sides are dull, so I can't really rip the flesh around there to gain any ground on trying to make any kind of a fucking opening. And she said, well, I still see something dark in there. So I'm thinking if I get a blade or an X-Acto knife or something just to make a little divot, right? But she said, oh, goddamn, go to urgent care. And I said, I'm not going to go to urgent care for this tiny little piece of this. She said, you'll get Lyme disease. Then I realized all the things that I've avoided, the dangers that I have avoided. I have not been in cataclysmic accidents or airplane mishaps or goddamn caught deadly illnesses or contracted goddamn disease until this tiny microscopic piece of this fucking tick is going to enter my bloodstream and turn me into some kind of goddamn half human, half tick super fucking villain, and I'll die. And I'll fucking vomit up my toenails while I do it. Because I don't know what happens to you when you get Lyme disease. Do you?
I don't remember when I moved into the previous last manor and I met the mailman and I was asking about wildlife in the area because of Swami's a small dog. Plus, the baby at the time, he said, I wouldn't worry about the deer, but I'd worry about the coyotes. And then his next thing was, I can't even tell you how many of your neighbors have Lyme disease. That didn't help.
What the neighbor, like the human neighbors are all infected with Lyme disease? Is that why you moved?
That wasn't why I moved, but
could you observe any discernible affliction from looking at them? Do they turn like green?
I don't even
Like
know how
limes,
how
or
did
do they
he
have
know? How would he have known? Was he going through their mail, or did they tell him one by one, hey, Mr. Mailman, just thought
I
you should
got
know.
Lyme disease, stay away from me.
But to answer your question, no, I don't know.
Maybe he was reading the blood tests when they come in from the...
Yeah.
But anyway, nevertheless, so she go to urgent care. I thought, oh, God damn it, all right, I want to get back to work. I'll go over to urgent care because I don't want to have some goddamn horrible fucking fatal illness. So I go over there, and like I said, there's nobody in there. It's 2 miles away. And I tell them at the desk, that basically I have tick particulates in my side, and my wife is convinced that I'm going to have Lyme disease and die a terrible death, so I need a medical professional to evaluate me and see if this is indeed the end for little Rico. And they popped on it, and they said, come right on back. Because there's 5 of them working there. They're sitting there doing nothing. I walk in, I'm the only patient. So they asked me the questions, am I allergic to fucking Dalmatians? I don't know what the fuck. And then the doctor, she goes and gets this magnifying device, because it's a tiny little place, right? She's going to get the magnifying device so that she can see and get the tweezers and root around or whatever. And she said, would you like lidocaine? I'm sorry. She said, do you want me to numb it? It's a fucking tick. I said, no, I think we're okay. So she comes back, and she's got the magnifying thing, which either looked like a jeweler or a goddamn coal miner. It's one big lens that has a apparatus that straps around her head, and the one lens goes over one eye that magnifies but she's trying to put it on over her existing eyeglasses that she's wearing. And as she's trying to put this thing over her head and over her glasses, she's fumbling. Her glasses are falling off her face. I'm like, this is the doctor. I may be better off with the fucking tick. Right? So she gets it on, and then I lay down on the thing, and she's rooting around. And she, oh, yes, I see this and that, and boom, boom, boom. And she said, are you sure you don't want lidocaine? Like she's taking a bullet out of my fucking... I said, ma'am, you haven't got halfway to where I was doing it to my own self. I believe we're good here. Just let's conclude this procedure. And finally, she comes up with this goddamn black speck and fucking puts it on a piece of cotton and shows it to me. Like when they change your oil at Valvoline, they show you the dipstick. She showed me the piece of the tick. And thank you. I'll take your word for it. If you've given me a clean bill of health here. And she put a Band-Aid on it. They gave me some kind of, what is it? Tetracycline or some kind of lean pills to take to blast the potential poison and disease out of my body that may have existed there. And I should be right as rain from now on, unless I get very sick and die. And I should watch out for a bullseye rash to come up around the point of origin. Apparently red rings until they envelop me and I look like a goddamn red and white zebra.
All right, well, keep looking for that bullseye rash, and good luck with all that.
Jim Cornette on Lyme disease. A public service announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, if you do indeed find your body infested by ticks and have particulates inside your body, go have them dug out by a medical professional or you'll get very sick and die.
All right, well, that public service announcement was brought to you by the man who went under the knife at urgent care, Mr. Jim Cornette.
And again, you don't have to send flowers or cake, lots of cake. You don't have to do that. But since I'm recuperating here. Flowers, cake, cash, anything to make a puny old senior citizen feel better in his twilight years. I'm turning into Ron Wright now, ain't I?